Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Wednesday, the 15th day of June 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure you observe the rules of the road, whether you're a pedestrian or a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle. By observing the rules of the road, the life you save may just be your own, because there's still a lot of craziness going on our streets out there. When I'm coming down at after 6 in the morning, I don't see much of a police presence in the Sports Prospect area, but we hope and we trust that they're out there. I see where in a 12-month span, 12 months, in Bermuda, they issued over 5,500 traffic violations, including speeding, driving without insurance, driving without being licensed, failing to stop, running red lights, all sorts of things. 5,500 in a 12-month span. So we see here in the Cayman Islands, sometimes it's ramped up and then all of a sudden things sort of like simmer down again. We have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep it on because there's still a lot of craziness going on out on our streets as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days. And of course, we will be identifying some persons who are celebrating a birthday today. And our birthday shout out from 7:30 to 7:45, proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. And they always want to remind you that you're not to take chances with your family's future. So we will be giving some shout outs later on as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. For those of you who are ill and are either at home or overseas at a medical facility, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. And yes, folks, yes, the beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson is waiting to take your calls. Miss Susan Watson, the beautiful voice of Miss Susan Watson. She is alive and well, contrary to rumors that were swirling a few days ago as well. So I believe that she has done her best to try to dispel those rumors. And of course, hearing her voice here on Radio Cayman will help to confirm that as well. So our beautiful Miss Susan Watson is waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. So we have a birthday shout out to go out to Zion this morning. Happy birthday, Mr. Zion. Welcome. Happy birthday to you, Zion. And that's coming from Miss Jewel. We also have been advised, and I'm going to share this with you also, that in honor of Captain Gleason Ebanks, today at 12 noon, right here in the Cayman Islands, all cruise ships in port will be doing a horn blast in honor of Captain Gleason Ebanks, the late Captain Gleason Ebanks. So at 12 noon today, all of the cruise ships that are in the harbor in Georgetown will be blasting their horns in honor of Captain Gleason Ebanks as well. I also have another birthday greeting here, and I need to find that. Need to find that because it came in a few days ago, but we will find that as well. Meanwhile, I'd like to share with you the COVID-19 situation for the Cayman Islands. And this was issued on yesterday, the 14th of June. And it has been pointed out to us that positive cases reported to public health during this period, figures for the 14th of June, for the period of 14th of June, are as follows. On Sunday, the 12th of June, there were 38 cases. On Monday, the 13th of June, there were 53 cases, and they also point out to us that there are 984 estimated active cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands. 7 persons are currently hospitalized for COVID-19 related causes. Of those, 1 is an unvaccinated individual. They also point out to us that the 7-day rolling average for the 14th of June, the average was 70. The average number was 70. They also point out that there is 1 new case in the Sister Islands. Active cases in the Sister Islands are currently at 18. So it seems as if over in the Sister Islands, things are pretty much under control there. And again, we continue to urge you to please exercise all of the precautions that need to be followed. And by so doing, you will help to protect not only yourself, but you will also be protecting others who are around you as well. I'm trying to find this birthday greeting, and Okay, here we go. Yes, here we go. So the individual wanted to send, I believe I can call their name, Denise Ebanks, belated birthday greetings to Kayla Phillips. And those belated birthday greetings are coming from your mom, Laverne, grandma, Claire Steen, brother Nevon, and sister Onelia as well. So belated happy birthday greetings to Kayla Phillips as well. And again, I want to remind you that our birthday greetings, this portion, the birthday shout out, is proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. And they want to remind you that you are not to take chances with your family's future as well. I believe I had something else in terms of birthdays to share with you. So some of the notable individuals who were born on the 15th of June, Courtney Cox. She was born on the 15th of June, 1964. Mohammed Salah, the 15th of June, 1992. Xi Jinping, born on the 15th of June, 1953. I wonder if Joe Biden and Boris Johnson are going to send him happy birthday greetings today as well. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Also, Neil Patrick Harris. He was born on the 15th of June, 1973. Ice Cube was born on the 15th of June, 1969. Helen Hunt, 15th of June, 1963, as well. Others, Wayne Jennings, born on the 15th of June, 1937. Someone by the name of Bailey, who was a wrestler. He was born in 1989. Leah Remy, born on the 15th of June, 1976. Jim Belushi, who would be the brother of John Belushi, born in 1954. Anyone else? Okay, those are some pretty good ones. Let me see if we can find any others. That Elizabeth Reeder, born then as well. So those are some. Again, remember that the birthday shout out proudly brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randall Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. They want to remind you that you are not to take chances with your family's future. With that, folks, we are going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will continue to have an open line for you. And then at 8:15, after the 8 o'clock news, we will have the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Roy McTaggart, and along with him, Sir Alden McLaughlin. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
The development of the Cayman Islands financial services industry is said to be nothing short of a modern economic miracle and should not be understated. Did you know that prior to 1953, the only operational bank in the Cayman Islands was a government savings bank? although it could not conduct commercial transactions or solve cash flow shortages. Despite pleas from the governor in Jamaica for the banks there to open a branch in the Cayman Islands, it was not until March 1953 when Barclays DCO opened their first office in Dr. Roy McTaggart's dental parlor on South Church Street. In 1957, Barclays moved into Dr. Roy's newly constructed Rembrandt building on Cardinal Avenue, and they did not see their first competition until 1963, when Royal Bank of Canada opened their first branch in the islands. Barclays would later open the first commercial bank branch in the sister islands on Cayman Brac in 1964. The Banking and Trust Companies and Regulation Law of 1966 would soon prove to be the key to launching the Cayman Islands into the world of offshore finance.
Karl Landsteiner was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the ABO system of human blood grouping in 1930. World Blood Donor Day is June 14th, saluting Karl's birthday. On behalf of our community, we, Rotary Club Central, thank you, the staff of the National Blood Bank. We thank you, our heroes, blood donors. Every day becomes World Blood Donor Day for we who need that pint to live. Call the National Blood Bank, 244-2674 or 244-2669. Donating blood is an act of solidarity. When blood is needed, nothing else will do. A message from Rotary Central and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Hi, I'm life insurance agent Michael Webster.
And I am Randy Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center.
Proud sponsors of the birthday shoutouts on For the Record.
Whether you're another year older or just a year wiser,
making sure your family is protected is a pretty wise choice. I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
And I am Randy Lawson at 322-2145. Give us a call today to find out how you can better secure your family's future.
Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I believe we have a caller on hold, so let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you? Good to hear your voice.
Okay. Yeah, good to hear yours also.
Thank you.
Well, today is my son's birthday also.
Okay.
Franklin Raphael Brian Orette.
Okay.
He's 26 years old today. I'm very thankful to know that I still have him with me. And I pray and hope that God will continue to guide and protect him, that he'll live to see many more years. And I would like for you to play that song that you have there for your show, Lean on Me, Mr. O'Connor, after the show is finished, if you can, please.
Okay. Miss Susan is listening, and we will pass that on to the DJ that will replace her, that will come on at 10 o'clock. And you said his name is Franklin
Raphael Brian Orette.
Okay. Raphael Brian. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And you want the song "Lean on Me," right? Yes, Billy Withers. Billy Withers.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and say on behalf of the staff of Radio Cayman as well, give birthday greetings to your son, and we hope and we trust that he will live to see many, many, many more as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you too, sir. Have a great day. Okay. Any other calls on hold, Miss Susan? No calls on hold. Okay. What else can we share with you today? Yeah, you know me. Yes. Here we go. So, on the 16th, which would be tomorrow, but this is as close as I'll get to the 16th, other than on Friday. So, the 16th of June, 1966, the Tradewinds newspaper, and I want to say to you that I have other publications other than the Tradewinds, as well. A big fan of Radio Cayman, and For the Record has shared them with me, and I will give her credit more when I start to share them with you, but more information to share with you about the Cayman Islands. And folks, what is good? That we are seeing a resurgence of interest in the history of the Cayman Islands. We have lost and we continue to lose so much of our institutional knowledge as far as the history of the Cayman Islands is concerned. We still have people like Awawa and, others. We have Captain Owen Farrington. I shouldn't have started calling names because we have the Honorable Mayor Lawrence, Dr. Steve McFeel, the Godfrey brothers, Nikki and Niels Godfrey. Miss Lucille isn't that old, but she knows a lot of the history as well. Miss Lucille Seymour. So many people who are interested now in knowing the history of the Cayman Islands, family history, what happened where and when. And this is a good opportunity for us to get as much of that recorded, but not only recorded. We don't want to record it and then hide it. We need to put it out there in the public domain. It needs to be out there. Everything else is being put out in the public domain. So why not our history, as well? And speaking about that, I really want to commend everyone, those involved in yesterday's program at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall on the launch of the book of contributions that were made during the symposium talking about Mr. Roy Borden's writings. The Sir Vassal Johnson Hall was packed last night. It was good to see so many people out there. I just have one complaint, and I'm sure, hopefully someone will pass this on. If not, I will pass it on to the board of directors of UCCI. We need to get a proper PA system in place there. I know that there were challenges in the past in the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall with the sound, and they have now put things in the rafters to deflect the sound so that you get a better so that there's a better sound system in place. But then it seems as if they have an antiquated PA system. You get too close to it and, all sorts of cracking and stuff like that, and it distracts from what the person is saying. So whether or not it's the Ministry of Education, whether or not it's the Board of Directors of UCCI, please, please, please look into getting a proper PA system for that venue, because it is used so often, and you really want to be fair to persons who are presenting, to give them an opportunity, and those persons who are listening, to give the presenters an opportunity to present properly, and the audience to really be able to hear, understand, and enjoy what is being said as well. So just urging that, if that can take place as well. That was my take on there. But again, I really want to say, it was a huge, huge turnout. And you know what? People stayed until the end as well. So we need to continue to support our own. We need to continue to push, to talk about, to publicize our history in the Cayman Islands. Everyone refers to what Mr. Arden McLean says, you know our glory, but you don't know our story. So let's tell our story. Top of the hour, folks. 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Sir Alden McLaughlin after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is 8 o'clock. Kind compliments of Foster's.
Make way for Dairy Month.
This year, Foster's is taking a legendary spin on dairy.
Each week, Foster's Camana Bay will be offering special weekly samplings of yogurt, cheese, and dairy alternative products.
We're also offering 5 lucky customers a chance to win a $200 Foster's card when you purchase any 5 dairy products at any Foster's location from now until 30th June 2022.
For more information, head to fosters.ky.
Get moving with us and celebrate dairy all month long. Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman, Brac, and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. 911 Emergency Communications has confirmed to Radio Cayman that there was a serious car accident in Cayman Brac overnight. The call came in around 2:50 a.m. It was a single vehicle accident in the West End Road area of Cayman Brac. Police, emergency services, and fire crews were sent to the scene. There were injuries reported. Make sure to stay with Radio Cayman as we follow this developing story. Analysis is underway to see how Cayman's primary school students have fared under the new national curriculum, implemented for Key Stages 1 and 2 in 2019. Education Minister the Honourable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly says earlier this year the Key Stage 2 curriculum was examined using the United Kingdom's standardized assessment tools that are administered to students in years 2 and 6 in the UK.
This will enable the Ministry and the Department of Educational Services to make international comparisons of students' progress. This assessment will also assist the system in identifying any gaps that exist and planning the next steps for closing those gaps.
Initially, the plan was to have a phased implementation of the Key Stage 3 curriculum for years 7 in August 2021, years 8 in August 22, and years 9 in August 2023. But then the pandemic hit. The new timetable?
The Key Stage 3 curriculum in years 7 and 8 will be fully implemented in August this year.
The analysis of the provision at Key Stage 4 will also restart in August, giving government a chance to rule out the recommendation for any changes of the provisions of Key Stage 4 in August of next year. And the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development will host the first in a series of discussions dubbed Raising Capital, meaning one of the organization's strategic priorities of the center of, quote, creating an enabling business environment for startups, micro, and small businesses. The forum will highlight existing options for accessing financing. Panelists at this series of events will include representatives from the banking sector, private investor groups, government, and small business owners with a track record of success. The first discussion will focus on what makes a small business fundable. It's scheduled for June 23rd at 4 p.m. at the Grand Cayman Marriott Beach Resort. Head to cicbd.gov.ky for more information. In regional news, the Center for Biological Diversity has sued the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, accusing it of not protecting an endangered shrub once thought to be extinct that grows in some areas of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. The shrub can grow up to 10 feet high and produces lilac flowers with yellow center. It is found on St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands and on Tortola in neighboring British Virgin Islands. The Arizona-based nonprofit group said the shrub is threatened by development and climate change, noting that St. John has been battered by hurricanes. It said the first petition to protect the shrub was submitted in 1996, just a couple of years after it was rediscovered. The group said the U.S. agency agreed to protect the shrub in 2020, but argued that it had not received final protection. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Britain is to face further legal proceedings from the European Commission in response to the British government's plans to unilaterally scrap parts of the Brexit agreement relating to Northern Ireland. On Monday, Britain published draft legislation aimed at overriding trade, tax and governance arrangements agreed with the EU in 2020. Boris Johnson's government is also considering the implications of a last-minute court ruling which prevented it from flying a first group of asylum seekers from Britain to Rwanda. The plane was grounded when a decision made by the European Court of Human Rights triggered further legal challenges in London. In eastern Ukraine, Russian-backed separatists have accused Ukrainian forces of disrupting a safe route for residents to leave Severodonetsk. Russian troops had said trapped civilians would be free for 12 hours to depart, but only into Russian-occupied territory. NATO's top official Jens Stoltenberg says he expects allies to agree a package of support for Ukraine that would allow its military to transition from Soviet-era equipment to modern NATO armaments. He said this should be agreed at a summit in Madrid later this month. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Karl Landsteiner was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the ABO system of human blood grouping in 1930. World Blood Donor Day is June 14th, saluting Karl's birthday. On behalf of our community, we, Rotary Club Central, thank you, the staff of the National Blood Bank. We thank you, our heroes, blood donors. Every day becomes World Blood Donor Day for we who need that pint to live. Call the National Blood Bank 244-2674 or 244-2669. Donating blood is an act of solidarity. When blood is needed, nothing else will do. A message from Rotary Central and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Rotary serves to change lives.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
That's a good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 76%. The barometric pressure is 29.91 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 9 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synoptics indicate moderate easterly winds and seas expected to continue across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours in association with a ridge of high pressure north of the Caribbean. Further south, an area of disturbed weather that the National Hurricane Center has given a 30% chance of developing is expected to lead to fresh winds and rough seas from tomorrow afternoon. Satellite images show scattered multi-layered clouds, mostly south of the Cayman area. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures dipping to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 9:36, low tide this afternoon at 4:13, and a high tide again tonight at 11:15. The sun will set this evening at 3 minutes after 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:48. And the outlook is calling for continued fresh winds and rough seas through Friday morning.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brac, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Brac. Good like that.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Traffic is busy coming from the east on the Linford-Pearson Highway. Also, coming off of Esterly-Tibbetts Highway, steady traffic on North Sound Road. As we look to the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is steady but flowing heading to Georgetown. And heading to West Bay on the West Bay Road, traffic is moving on moderately. Busy traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as off the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Crew Road traffic heading to Georgetown is busy and eastbound traffic is moving on swiftly. On Halter Avenue, steady traffic, and Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue traffic is moderate in both directions. And into Georgetown on Shed Road, not looking too bad. Out of Georgetown, light to moderate traffic flow. And from the West Bay four-way stop, traffic is flowing at a good pace. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Have a good morning and drive safe, Cayman Islands.
Subway is giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Cayman, get ready for Blossom Premium All-Inclusive. Come enjoy ambience, sweet soca music, and a star-powered cast featuring Edwin Yearwood, Vashti, Red Plastic Bag, Erica Asai, and Sherwayne Winchester. Show Wayne Winchester. Thursday, 30th June at the National Gallery. Party time 7 p.m. to midnight. Dress code light cocktail attire. Blossom Premium All-Inclusive for Cayman's Carnival. A production of Calabra and SW Limited.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I've kept half of my promise so far. We have the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, in the studio with us, and we should be joined by Sir Alden McLaughlin as well. Mr. Leader, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
And thank you, O.C. Good morning to you. Good morning to the wider Cayman Islands and all of your listeners. Glad to be here again. Yes, we are waiting on Sir Alden to join us. I suspect that he is caught in the morning rush hour coming from the east. I just sent him a message asking him how far away he is. But yeah, we are expecting him to be with us this morning as well.
Yeah, this time of the morning he probably should have ridden the bicycle instead.
He certainly would have gotten here quicker.
I'm sure, yes. Meanwhile, what has been happening in your neck of the woods, Mr. Leader?
Well, we were here not last week, but 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we had spent quite a bit of time discussing the upcoming agenda for the House. Yes. So last week, we did meet on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we completed the agenda for the House, for the parliamentary agenda by about lunchtime. And we took the break and came back, and we had a meeting of the Finance Committee to seek to approve some additional spending by the government for matters that one of them, at least a couple of them, for their policies, and one of the items that they had to top up was this infamous NGS 55 vote, which is the care for indigents and those overseas, those who aren't able to do it. There's quite a bit of money there for that of the total amount that was approved. So that was, very, very quick in and out for the House. I think, from my perspective, the government business, we were able to complete that in very short order, because as we've discussed and we said 2 weeks ago, there really wasn't very much there in terms of their own agenda or policy, and no policy legislation or anything. We had 6 pieces of amending legislation, and we'd spent some time looking through over them as the opposition, and we didn't have any issue with any of the bills that were being brought by the government. So it was a situation where that government business was able to be dispensed with quite quickly, and so quickly, in fact, that the business of the day was concluded by 3 p.m., which is almost unheard of. and in order to get there and to have that completed, that there is within the standing orders a limitation on the reading and passing of bills, that everything can't be done in 1 day, shouldn't be done in 1 day. Those are the rules. So you can do a first and second reading, and where it is debated, but then the third reading of the bill should take place in the following day. But that standing order can be suspended, and we did suspend it in order to get the legislation approved all in 1 day. And there were no amendments, there was nothing controversial, so no reason why we shouldn't have done it. And So it was interesting at the conclusion of that first day. I mean, the speaker wanted us to then move into dealing with the opposition agenda, which is normally, is listed for Thursday. Thursday is always opposition day. So so we had some discussion around that, but the truth was we were not prepared for it. We just simply didn't expect to finish that quickly. And, a couple of, my colleagues who were bringing the private members' motions, they indicated to me they weren't ready. So we persuaded the Parliament to go ahead and suspend and adjourn the proceedings until the Thursday morning. So that really was, day one of the Parliament's business.
So we know that you had quite a few. The opposition had quite a few parliamentary questions, as well as your private members' motion. Can we talk about the private members' motion first?
I really wanted Sir Alden to be here to discuss those in detail.
Okay.
And simply because one of them was his. So what I'll do is I'll just leave that, put that one to the side. That was the private members' motion seeking to have the asking government to consider amending the Music and Dancing Act to allow for Caymanian, for locally owned bars who are basically the only subset of licensees that are precluded from playing background music on a Sunday and on Good Fridays and Easter Sunday and at other times. So that was one that was being brought by him to ask government to consider doing that. So I'll leave that park that for the moment. The second one that we dealt with was the request for government to consider amending the first-time Caymanian buyers homeowners program that's been in place for I think it's probably better part now of 25 years. It's been quite a long time. And that motion found, unanimous favor with the government. They readily accepted it, and we spent quite a bit of time here 2 weeks ago going through that, so that the public would generally have an understanding of what it was we were asking. So I know that it's an issue too that is on their agenda. In fact, there were a couple of things. One thing in particular, I remember the Minister for Finance, in accepting the motion, said that that they would think, and we had asked them to increase the limit of the exemption to the first $500,000 of the value of of the home purchase. Excuse me. It presently stands at $400,000, so we asked it to go up to consider going to $500,000. He says no, we're actually going to go deeper and higher, and go to $600,000. So I mean, I'm pleased with that. And so yeah, that was one that really found favor with them, and one that we are hoping now that one it will and should be able to be dealt with quite easily and quickly, that they could get that back to the House later this year for approval. The urgency, it is quite an urgent matter that needs to be dealt with, because it goes, I think, it will go a long way to try and help to alleviate the issues that you are facing now with regard to the value of land transactions and where land values have gone in the last 2 to 3 years as a result of the very significant activity that is taking place in the marketplace. And as a result, we've heard the complaints. It's been around for a few years now that Caymanians are finding it harder and harder to be able to afford a home and to get into the marketplace. So I'm hoping that they will bring this to the forefront and deal with it, bring the amending legislations to the House quite quickly to accomplish this. And with the possible, because we're likely, I don't know if they have announced it yet, but we're likely to see the U.S. Feds
up the interest rates again, I would imagine that it would be even more pressing if interest rates were to go up to have something like this in place, because as interest rates go up, the affordability and those persons who would be able to afford that impacts them, substantially.
Absolutely, and you point out you're exactly right, OC. When the interest rate goes up, the affordability factor comes down, and it impacts it very, very directly. And the Feds are poised to raise rates today, and we will know what the increase is at 1 o'clock here in Cayman. Anywhere, the all bets now that it's going to be a 75 basis points, so 3/4 of a percent. And what that will translate to, I think that the prime lending rate now is at 4%. Prime lending rate is going to be 4.75% here within, just a couple of days. That's the effect, and that, given where we have come from 3.25% for the prime lending rate to 4.75%. And I dare say it's going to go higher for several months. And, speculation is in July you will also have at least a 50 basis point increase again. Yes. So, whether it's 50 or 25 or whatever, the mortgage rate, the prime lending rate, it, continues to rise with each time that they act. And therefore it makes it increasingly difficult for people to qualify and to be able to have a mortgage to buy a home.
Yeah. Now this particular sitting or session of the I keep getting confused between sitting and meetings, but it seems as if the government and the opposition were able to agree on several issues, especially when it comes to the public good and addressing issues that many of the families in the Cayman Islands are facing today. And it seems as if this is what the people of the Cayman Islands have been calling for despite the adversarial system that we have in place, that they have been encouraging the government and the opposition to work together for the betterment of the Cayman Islands. Now, I also, when we talk about the parliamentary questions as well, I saw where there was a question in relation to funding for a football club in the UK, and a question about the sponsorship or funds for some sort of handbag or something like that. And it seemed as if, well, I guess it was intentional, because when parliamentary questions are raised, the minister who's responsible for that department will get the question and they decide to formulate the answer. But I was surprised to see how frank they were in talking about the fact that no business case had been made for either one of those. I'd like you to comment on that, and I'd like to see if I recognize that face over on the other side there. We have none other than Sir Alden McLaughlin in the studio with us. Sir Alden, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Again, congratulations, on you being made a knight as well, and good to see you in the studio.
Good morning, OC. Good morning to the listening public. Good morning, Mr. Leader.
Thank you, sir.
My apologies on my tardy arrival. It took 47 minutes to get from Prospect to here.
Use the bicycle.
I've forgotten how long it takes, because I haven't been here this early in a long time. But yes, it's good to be here, good to be back. And thank you very much for your kind compliments.
Okay, Ms. Susan, we're going to take that commercial break now. And when we return, folks, the conversation with the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, and a Member of Parliament, Sir Alden McLaughlin, will continue. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Lots to talk about.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop in to any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware, custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and a Member of Parliament, former Premier of the Cayman Islands as well, Sir Alden McLaughlin. Before I turn the mic over to them, even though we've already passed the birthday greeting stage, but we were also advised that today is Miss Rose Wynn, who's a flight attendant at Cayman Airways, that she's celebrating a birthday today. So we want to wish Miss Rose Wynn a happy birthday today as well. Okay. So, Mr. Leader?
Thank you, OC. I pick up from where we left off you with the question that you asked me with regard to the two the questions that we had with regard to the contracts that the government had entered into, one with Portsmouth Football Club, and the second one with, God forbid, it's the name of a company I just can't recall, but it involved the purchase of and promotion of handbags as part of tourism promotions. And yes, I mean, I thought that responses were complete and quite candid. They answered all the questions as we had asked them. And, I didn't pursue any further questioning on it because then I understood that the contracts themselves were below the threshold where there was a requirement for a business case. So the sponsorship of the Portsmouth club was less than 100,000. It was I think 100,000 pounds. 90,000 pounds, which
I think they said it was about 92,000
CI. And then the one with one for the handbags, I think, was like 37 or 38,000 US dollars. So clearly below the de minimis threshold. And but I mean, both of those contracts to me seemed a bit unusual. Because I do know that Portsmouth itself, and from all that I had spoken to, I'd spoken with a gentleman who I knew was from the area, and said that Portsmouth themselves as a football team these days not exactly one of the largest or most popular clubs in the UK leagues, and often find it difficult to fill their stands. But it's from the answer that was given, it was clear to me that there are some other benefits to be derived by Cayman. There's supposed to be a visit from this club, hopefully an exhibition match, which I think would be very well received in the sporting world here in Cayman. And so I'm hoping to hear more from that, from the minister with regard to that and whether that happens as well.
Okay. The name of that company, the one with the handbags and stuff, was Laudy Vidney.
Laudy Vidney, yeah.
Okay. Laudy Vidney.
But, what still puzzles me, despite the frank answers, is it's rather curious that these, rather low-key, if I may use that expression, entities. I mean, what is the connection between them and the Cayman Islands? What spurred this? Mm-hmm. Is it some personal relationship? It does seem very odd. It does seem very odd. And I don't believe the answers that were provided actually address that. And the lack of a business case, yes, it's not absolutely required, but
transparency.
Yeah, but somebody really needs to make a case, I think, to the public why these contracts have been entered into. You wouldn't normally associate Portsmouth with football club with promoting the Cayman Islands tourism industry. It's, I don't know.
And it's a seaside town, so
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great, in the grand scheme of things, not a great deal of money, but it does appear to me to be a bit curious.
Yeah, and I actually, while I was sitting there and having read the response from them, I just did some quick checking itself on Portsmouth, and as you say, it is a seaside town, population, maybe a couple 100,000 people. Yeah. But what I found telling with the latest data that they had there that I was able to find was the average earnings was less, right around £500 a week of the population that lives there, which in reality you're going to find it difficult to find people earning that at that level to be able to afford a Cayman Islands vacation. And so again, that goes to what Sir Alden was saying with regard to, and I said earlier that the unusual nature of these things. But I looked at it too from what I saw with the other benefits listed there that could come from it for the country.
Okay. Are there any other PQs that you want to talk about this morning?
Oh boy.
Well, the answer which I received to my question about what is preventing the commencement of the Legal Services Act.
Yes.
I was quite pleased with the response of the Premier, because there's been lots of people that would all talk about the place that the government was considering some significant amendments to that act before they brought it into effect. Mm-hmm. Now, the Premier was the Minister for Financial Services in my first administration, 2013 to 2017, and he had courage of that particular issue. I recall first hearing about the need for a modern piece of legislation to regulate the legal profession when I was in law school, and I graduated in 1988. And it certainly was very much on the radar when I was president of the Caymanian Bar Association in 1998, 1999, and 2000. I say that to say how long we have been, that it has been known or believed that the 1969 piece of legislation, which we have, the Legal Practitioners Law, is inadequate to deal with the modern issues around regulating an industry or a profession in Cayman, which now has almost 1,000 practitioners. When the 69 legislation was passed, Cayman had about 15 lawyers resident here. So the Premier, when he was minister, he had courage of that, and he made 2 attempts to get the bill through. It was massively controversial. I mean, when I say massively, I mean we will remember that that Winston Connolly, walked the floor, as we say, into the opposition over, among other things, but principally because of the then legal practitioners bill. It was massively controversial, and in the end, neither of those two attempts succeeded in having the bill passed. We had to withdraw it just before the House was dissolved in March of 2017. So I took courage of it when we resumed our government in 2017. That the current premier lost his seat in those elections, and it was not an easy. It wasn't an easy road. We basically abandoned those earlier drafts, and because a big part of the controversy around it was that it had been drafted by I'm not going to name any particular firm, but by lawyers themselves, and the concerns about it not adequately protecting and promoting the upward advancement of local lawyers and training and so forth, of course, took on even greater profile when it was realized that those earlier drafts had been prepared by the law firms themselves. So we took a different approach, the Attorney General and myself, and it was drafted in-house in government, obviously with input and so forth. But it was still very, very controversial. But in the end, we got it over the line. I moved the bill myself and took it through the various stages. And I think it was October of 2020, somewhere around there, that we got it passed. Now, all along, the current premier and myself and others had been told, over and over again, that this is one of the big issues that causes concern by the international regulatory organizations, the OECD, the EU, the whole FATF, the whole range of them, because we have this massive industry. I mean, to have almost 1,000 lawyers in a place as small as Cayman, let's take the upper number of the estimate of the population is 72,000. That's still a massive number of lawyers, and for it not to be properly regulated, and particular the issue of those who are practicing law, Cayman law overseas, who remain almost completely unregulated and certainly not subject to the jurisdiction here in many respects. So I thought, obviously, that one of the first things the new government would do was to press ahead with getting this law commenced, because we passed it in October, but we knew there were regulations that had to be prepared. There was essentially the committee that is going to run or to manage the profession, which under the current law includes the Chief Justice and the Attorney General and a number of others. That had to be set up and various rules and protocols put in place. So it didn't get done between the passage of the law in October and the elections in April. But we are now in June of 2022, and from the feedback I had been receiving, there had been little or no progress whatsoever in getting this critically important piece of legislation commenced. And so I was encouraged. As I say, I had been hearing other things, that there was dissension within the government caucus about commencing the act, because some of those from the other school of thought who opposed it were still advocating strongly that there needed to be some more significant changes to it. So I was encouraged by what the what the Premier did say.
Remind us of what he said again. Can you remember?
Yeah, he said they're going to press ahead with commencing it. That there are no significant changes that are being proposed, but they do need to have the regulations and the various other components to make it operational put in place, and that the government had been distracted by the issues around continuing to manage the COVID-19 pandemic and so forth. So I think we are hopeful that this will finally come to pass. By no means do I pretend that what we did pass is perfect, because most legislation of any significance is the subject of negotiation and compromise, and so inevitably it's not going to be everything that everybody wants. But we do believe that it is a good piece of legislation, and that is certainly far better than continuing to operate under a completely obsolete piece of legislation like the Legal Practitioners Law 1969.
Okay, Ms. Susan, we're going to take that commercial break, folks. When we return, the conversation with Sir Alden McLaughlin and Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, will continue, so please stay tuned.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross, now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
You know the easiest way to get free food? No, not go steal your neighbor's mango, but plant a tree. Yeah, for real. More trees, more food, less grocery bills. To celebrate Her Majesty Queen Platinum Jubilee, come plant a tree for the Jubilee. Yeah, we need you. Yes, you. Make sure you leave your green mark on the Cayman Islands. Perhaps a mango tree, a legislative tree, even a little bit of coconut or cabbage. Is it time we all started eating off the land again? Register your tree and leave your green print at www.gov.ky/National Tree Planting. Or make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Plant a tree for the Jubilee. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Government, Ministry for Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Let's green Cayman now.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Member of Parliament, former Premier of the Cayman Islands, Sir Alden McLaughlin. I'll just give our audience a little teaser, some of the issues that I would like to discuss to get the opposition's position as far as COVID-19, the requirements for testing when returning to the Cayman Islands. We see people reacting now to what the United States has done in terms of not requiring a test if you're fully vaccinated, not requiring to test to enter the United States, and also, very importantly, to talk about the situation in the British Virgin Islands. And as all of you may know or should know, that Sir Alden McLaughlin was one of the prime architects of our Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. He was highly involved in the negotiations, as well. As a matter of fact, I think at that time the leader of government business basically empowered you more than anything else, Sir Alden, to take the reins as far as the Constitution is concerned. So we want to talk about what's happening in the British Virgin Islands, our Constitution, what we have here, and get Sir Alden McLaughlin's take on that as well. I know also that I have been critical about some of the recent amendments that we've made in terms of changing the name of our legislature to Parliament, and some other low-hanging fruits that I may have spoken about. And then I realized the other day when I was looking at our Constitution, looking at the explanatory notes and everything, that actually some of those low-hanging fruits that we achieved later on, they were actually in the early proposals but had not been achieved at that point in time. So, I have to admit that while I criticized it, it wasn't something new. It was in there, before as well. So those are my teasers. Mr. Leader, over to you.
Yeah, you had asked before earlier, I should say, OC, about other, PQs that we had asked in the responses. I asked a question on the, of the Deputy Premier with regard to whether he was still pursuing the $400 million bullet bond.
Yes.
And, the response from him was quite unequivocal, and no, they are not pursuing it. So I was particularly glad to hear that, because, since January, and since they had put out the RFP, or request for information, as they termed it, nothing further had really been said from the early flurries with regard to, what they were doing with regard to this bond that they were proposing. So it was, to me, I'm glad to see that has died a death that it needed to die quickly, personally. So glad for that. What they haven't said or articulated yet, and the country doesn't know, is what's happening now with the line of credit, whether they are going to be drawing that down or whether they're going to allow that to expire, because it does expire in June, this month actually. So sometime before the end of the month it expires.
Well, now question, would the hike in interest rates at this point in time affect what you had already negotiated, or was that at a fixed rate?
I think that was at a fixed rate, but anything that they do now on the expiration in terms of renegotiating is going to be at a different rate in my mind. So no question about it. Question is how good an interest rate they are able to negotiate. And I think personally, I continue to say it when opportunity arises. I don't think that there is a need for us to borrow this money. I think government's finances are still performing incredibly well, and despite all the challenges, but certainly we don't need it in the short to medium term. So I don't think that there should be a rush to borrow. The only thing that I can see right now is that if they do borrow it now or draw it down now, they're drawing down at a lower interest rate, but it's going to come at a cost, because you start paying 3.25% on several $100 million worth of debt that you don't really need on your books right now. So there's a work to be done, I think, is the and a lot of analysis needs to be done by the Ministry of Finance in terms of making recommendations to the ministers as to what should be done with regard to this. But that's an issue that's looming front and center right now, and nothing has been said to the country about it so far.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I also had another question there. I asked a question of the Deputy Governor with regard to the issue that with regard to the topsoil at the National Housing Development site in Northside. There were allegations, I think, that perhaps the fill had been removed and taken elsewhere without proper process being followed. and I asked whether there was a report and whether the investigation had been completed and what the status was, and got again a very short but unequivocal answer from the Deputy Governor that it was now with the Anti-Corruption Commission and they were investigating. Again, I'm extremely pleased with that because it confirms to me that the issue isn't dead and ain't going away anytime soon. And I just, I hope now that the matter being there with the Anti-Corruption Commission too, that they'll be able to complete their investigations quickly and allow for the matter to be brought to a head and brought to a resolution one way or another before long. So we wait and see what the conclusions are with regard to the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Okay. That's it for the PQs. Sir Alden?
Yeah, well, Mr. Leader, I think it would be very helpful because I know this is on everyone's minds and lips, not just in Cayman, but right across the developed world, is the issue that you, I think, quite properly raised because the government wasn't dealing with it or appeared not to be ready to deal with it, is the question about what measures are the government taking to try to in some way mitigate the massive cost of living increases that people are facing now and are likely to face for the next year probably a couple of years.
Yes. And I appreciate you bringing it. I was going to deal with that, hopefully, a little bit further down the line, but we'll go ahead and we can deal with it now. But OC...
I think that's more on people's mind than the BBI
I appreciate that, too. On Thursday, I was able to persuade the Speaker of the House to allow me to get up to ask the Premier a question on the motion to adjourn on Thursday afternoon's meeting. I think it's Section 11.6 or something of the standing orders that it's not used very often, but it is on occasion quite useful for an opposition tool for the opposition to have. I preface all my comments with the fact that I went into this meeting fully with the expectation that the Premier or someone from the government would make a statement with regard to the issue of the cost of living and consumer price index and increasing prices, gasoline being probably the most visible one. Prices published all over the place over this, and highest price right now. I saw a report yesterday. The highest priced is $7.14 for unleaded, and that is the premium actually. But everything is well into the $6 in $6 and some in $7, and so it really prompted me. I waited on Wednesday. There was nothing. In a couple of statements made then, nothing. And then Thursday morning, again, nothing from anyone with regard to it. And coming down Thursday to the end of the opposition's business, and nothing, no other method that I could see where any statement would be made. I asked the Premier the Speaker to allow me to do it, and he willingly agreed to allow us to bring it. And he went to allow. He appraised the government bench of what was coming in, what would happen on the adjournment, and that they needed to be prepared for it. And that is what delayed the House for several hours on Thursday afternoon, because I know that they took many hours to sit down and try and formulate a response to what I had, and I was grateful to get and hear from him in the detail that he did at the close of the day. But so
if I could interrupt you there for a second, both of you being parliamentarians, so what in terms of what the protocols are, you wouldn't want to blindside someone with a question and not give them an opportunity to have an answer prepared for it. Why the Speaker allowed what he did to give them an opportunity to? Is that a part of the protocol?
But I think it is courtesy, and I think that you're more likely to get a useful response if they know what's coming.
Yes.
But the real alarming thing for me, who has been around this business now for almost 22 years, is that after a 6-month hiatus with no meetings of the House, I mean, I cannot remember in my entire time I've been there that a government has gone so long and held not just so few meetings, but such short meetings. I mean, this is just the third meeting since we were sworn in. And this only lasted 3 days. The government business wasn't even enough for one day. It makes one wonder really what is actually getting done in the government administration building in terms of policy, because most significant policies require, underpinning legislation. But that after a 6-month hiatus, the Premier and his government would come down to the House, knowing full well that the biggest issue around the world right now, aside from the Ukraine-Russian war, because that's a major contributing factor, is the cost of living, and would sit down there for 2 or 3 days and say absolutely nothing about what the state of play is in the Cayman Islands and what is it that the government is doing. So we waited, as the leader said, we waited for 2 days to hear what statements, because that's normally how you would expect the government would communicate, what it's doing. Nothing. They made a number of statements, but nothing in relation to this matter. And so we decided to use the standing orders, which allow for any member who's not a member of the government, with the Speaker's permission, to ask on the adjournment, to ask any member of the government to answer a question which the member and the Speaker have agreed is a matter of urgent public importance. And so it was under that provision. So the leader made a formal request of the Speaker in writing that he be allowed to do this. And the Speaker then, I think quite properly, appraised the government. And the government then flew into panic, obviously. We adjourned at 1:45 for lunch, and we didn't resume until 5:30. So they obviously hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about how they were going to address these issues, which are on everybody's lips and on everybody's minds, the massive increases in cost of living. So they cobbled some things together and made a response. And then that evening the Premier did, and then the next morning there was a more fulsome statement, written statement.
Okay, good time for us to go to our headline news at 9 o'clock, folks. Please stay tuned. The conversation with the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and Sir Alden McLaughlin will continue, so please stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Police are investigating a single-car crash in the Brac overnight. 911 Communications tells Radio Cayman the call came in around 2:50 a.m. with an accident on West End Road in Cayman Brac involving a single vehicle. Emergency services, including police and fire, were sent to the scene. Injuries were reported. A Republican congressman has lost his bid to cling onto his seat after a furious backlash to his vote to impeach former U.S. President Donald Trump. Tom Rice, a 5-time South Carolina incumbent, was beaten in a primary election by Trump-backed challenger Russell Fry. But another Republican in the state who had criticized Mr. Trump, Nancy Mace, comfortably won her vote. Ms. Rice had later visited Trump Tower in a show of loyalty. Author James Patterson has apologized for saying older white writers face, quote, just another form of racism, which makes it harder for them to find work. The best-selling U.S. writer made his comments to the Sunday Times last week, but following the backlash, he posted an apology and said he didn't actually think white writers suffered racism. The 75-year-old wrote on Facebook Tuesday, quote, I absolutely do not believe that racism is practiced against white writers. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and former Premier of the Cayman Islands, and now Sir Alden McLaughlin. One of our listeners has written in and said, "Good morning, Mr. O.C. and your distinguished guests. Have a question for former Premier, Mr. Alden. Can you give a brief explanation as to why the Immigration Department is not as effective as previously?"
I'm afraid I have no idea. We don't get briefed on those sorts of matters, and we have no source of information about what is happening. I only know what I hear on the road, and that is that the new boards are taking much longer to consider matters and are deferring a lot of matters. Whether that is called for or not is not something I can comment on, because I don't know, and such information as I have is purely anecdotal.
Of course, there is always that possibility that when you talk about deferral, and that there's more scrutiny that is being placed, especially possibly after the COVID-19 situation, as well. We saw the various what would you call it? Job fairs that were done as well. But as you're probably aware, in terms of appointing members to various boards, that members come with a heightened sense of enthusiasm, at first, and then the reality of the situation hits home, and when you then start to see how businesses operate in the Cayman Islands, what they need to operate as well, and then you draw back a little bit and you say, yes, we have these expectations. We have these expectations of businesses, but at the same time, we have to understand what their needs are. So that balancing act that you have to have in terms of protecting Caymanians and at the same time protecting the businesses, it is a very, very delicate balance that has to be, has to be achieved. We have a few callers, so can we take some calls? Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So the former premier, Sir Alden, mentioned about increased prices on the island. I'm aware that in Britain they are presently taxing the big companies, the big oil companies, and using that gain to filter back into social programs. I'm also aware that the rates of inflation are on the increase. According to the ESO data, there are over 5,000 Caymanians who own a house with a mortgage, and I believe that could very well represent over 20,000 people if you were to multiply that by a number to say how much people live in a house. Back in the 80s, I understand that the interest rate went up to somewhere around 18%. Now, if we were to experience that kind of inflation now, I think a lot of Caymanians would be struggling to meet their demands in terms of their mortgage and the likes. I'm wondering if the opposition think that it's a good idea to have a response in place. So if inflation were to increase, it's at 8 point something percent now, And if it has a steady increase, this is what they think that government should be responding with and do the support taxing. I know we don't have any big oil company, but we have bulk and we have retail. Is it a good idea to follow the British and tax the profit from those entities? Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Very good.
Okay,
good
I'll attempt a response, although the numbers man is the leader.
Yes.
But so I never try to talk too much in numbers, but what I always try to work at is the principles, right? So one of the ironies, this is my view, because I watch this very carefully. One of the ironies of what is happening now, with the Fed expected to increase by 75 basis points, the rate of interest in the U.S., and I think we can expect that the U.K. will follow suit very shortly after that, is that the cost of money, the cost of borrowing, the cost of mortgages, loans, are all going to increase and put greater strain on the average person, the average business's financial position. But the Fed is doing that to try to slow economic growth, or slow inflation, to put essentially a damper on demand. That's what they're trying to do. But one of the consequences of that is it's going to make certain the cost of money that much more expensive for people who are already locked into arrangements. Hopefully, many people will have 2 or 3 years before the bank is able to increase the interest rate, because they normally give you with mortgages, 2 or 3 years, at a fixed rate. But what the opposition has been talking about and thinking about is the reality that in a place like Cayman, with no form of direct taxation, the government has very few tools available to assist in these things. And even the tools that it does have, it's very difficult to ensure that if, for instance, government reduces the duty on diesel and gasoline, it's very difficult for government to ensure that actually gets passed on to the customer because of the system that we have in place, or the lack of system.
Okay. What about bringing legislation in place to ensure that what they would propose to do there that is actually effective, so that you the brace and bridges with it,
Yeah, well, that's what OFREG was supposed to have done. But it's been years and years and years. But the response from OFREG to please by government, and including the government which I led, is that it's better to leave these things to the
market.
To the market. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that what we seem to be facing the world, because Cayman is a very small place. Whatever happens elsewhere is going to have huge impact here. We don't impact very much, but we feel the impact on everything from the sort of thing like inflation to climate change, right? We do believe the government should be taking some steps at this stage. We can't leave this to the market, because the kind of inflation that is predicted is going to devastate the local economy. It's going to make it almost impossible for many families to survive. And as always with these things, those who are poorest, those who are most vulnerable, are the ones that get impacted the most, because they're having to spend. They always have to spend a greater proportion of their income on the very basics. So when the cost of those basics rises significantly, they quickly go underwater.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we do believe that government needs to move swiftly to deal with these matters. Look at where government can reduce the duty, and then put pressure on the entities
to ensure that that's passed on.
That is passed on by one means or another. I mean, you make it clear to them, listen, if this doesn't get passed on, then we're going to have to resort to more drastic measures, which is going to be price control. But Cayman and the world is facing, I think, some of the most challenging times that we can remember in economic terms. Mm-hmm. This, I believe, what we are facing is going to be much worse than the 2008 recession, mm-hmm. because this is being caused not by a muck-up or mess-up of the financial markets, but by other more serious underlying issues.
And it's multi-dimensional, because you had COVID, you have the war, you have, all sorts of things. We do have another caller. Let's see if we can grab that caller before we go to our commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC. Morning, Sir Alden. Morning, Mr. Roy.
Morning.
Yeah, I am. Bovilla said this year ago, and I campaigned on it, and I've been calling about it. All we need to do is take 1% of the financial money that's going through the Cayman Islands. We just saved $7.something billion for Russia. Take 1/4% of what's going on through there, and our children can go to school. Every child in Cayman get a free scholarship to go to college. The money's there, but we're not going where the money is. We're talking about gas and stupidness. Go where the money is. 1/4, 1%. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. We'll have our panel respond as soon as we return from this commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross, now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman are reminding customers that applications must be completed in full or they will not be accepted. In efforts to improve customer service and processing time, only fully completed applications will be accepted. Customers are responsible for providing the required information for the application to be processed and are encouraged to review the application checklist before submission. For guidance, visit www.worc.ky.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Roy McTaggart, and former Premier, member of our Parliament, Sir Alden McLaughlin as well. Before I turn the mic back over to them, big shout out to Miss Reba. She is celebrating a birthday today as well. So you all know Miss Reba, and we want to wish her a happy birthday as well. Mr. Leader, I think you wanted to raise something?
Yeah.
Based on the last caller?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, the last caller. I mean, he raised the prospect of, us looking to tax, government looking to tax, large businesses here in this country. I mean, that's would be a pretty fundamental shift in government policy in terms of the way it raises revenue in this country, because we don't raise it through income taxation. The challenges they would face in being able to do this, something like that would, in my mind, take many, many years to accomplish.
That was the second to last call,
yes,
right?
Yes, it was, yeah. And that, would take very difficult. I mean, really, it's not an area I think the country should go down, because you got to start collecting. You have to have a huge machinery in place in order to collect and monitor your income taxes, receipts and stuff. And I would never advocate for it, not now, and not, just not in favor of those sorts of things and moving away from the model that we do have right now. But the other thing I would mention, because as we were talking about the, what could be done in an environment such as this, what government could do, and we've had the discussion here of reducing the taxes, and that's exactly what I recommended government consider doing when I in asking the question of government on Thursday evening. I also gave 4 or 5 examples of things that government could consider, and I made it quite clear they were not exhaustive, but they were things that came to my mind that could be done quite easily, and that would have, I think, a very meaningful impact. Whether they didn't have to accept them all, but certainly a number of them would have an impact. And chief among them was their suggestion that they reduce the import on duty on gasoline and diesel for 6 months and ensure that the savings are passed on to by the gas stations. I also suggested that they might that they could consider increasing the stipend to seamen, veterans, and those entirely dependent on financial assistance from government. They're existing on of a fixed income, and they're seeing the purchasing power of their dollars just being eroded and eaten away very quickly by inflation that, for the first quarter this year is running at, I think it was 11.2. Yep. It wasn't 8 as I think you or Sir Alden mentioned earlier. It's actually 11.3%, 11.3%, which is, quite substantial. And, you don't need very many quarters or such a long period of time at those kind of rates of inflation before, you creating, the crisis just grows exponentially in terms of what people are able to support. So I suggested that. I also suggested they might consider extending the pension holiday. As difficult as that is, not difficult but to do, but the problems that you have created, that will be created by stopping people from saving again for their retirement, you're pushing that can down the road. But given the severity of the issue at hand, I think it is worthwhile looking at that. It affects both sides of the equation, the employer and the employee. And come the ending of, the pension holiday at the end of June. You've got the ending of the health insurance premium program at the end of June. There's a third one that's coming to end shortly. And tourism stipends, all of that.
Well, thankfully, the stipends, they've said they're going to continue those,
Okay.
but under moving it from
over to the NE
to the Ministry of Social Development.
That is right. Yeah, yeah. But so I mean, at least those two are together potentially, going to hit people very hard here, at going forward into July and August, September. It's really going to hurt, I believe.
And then when you look at pension funds, that the question is, how well are they doing at this point in time as well? You may be, you may be contributing to something that's not producing.
There will be a huge
subpar production.
I think people are going to be shocked next year when they get their pension fund statements, or even those getting their June pension statements. They're going to see the train wreck that has occurred. That's where it's going to become quite evident, because, the values are going to be down, impacted quite severely by what's happening in the stock market. We've seen this week that this S&P Standard & Poor's index, that has gotten down into what they call bear territory. Okay, that means it's down at least 30% from its high. The NASDAQ and the Dow Jones is not far behind, but they're not quite there yet. And I do believe that they will get into that bear territory before we actually see the markets put in a bottom and start to increase again. But that's going to be quite significant as well. So that's something for that's going to hit us again not too long from now as well.
Okay, one of our listeners said, "Good morning, everyone. Would the opposition not also encourage local residents to adjust their way of living, spending, to be more conservative and prioritize as necessary? Also, what is Sir Alden's perspective on promoting farming and what can be done to provide assistance for farmers as well?"
Well, all of the points that the message, the person who sent the message made, I think is just sound advice.
Yes.
But unfortunately, for many in this community, they're living, hand to mouth or month to month. And when you get these significant increases in the overall cost of living, as I said earlier, they go underwater very quickly. Farming. Now, I am a farmer. I'm passionate about it, but I'm also a realist. There aren't many farms in Cayman that people actually make a living from. I still believe it is possible to make mine viable, especially now that I have more head space to think about its continued development. But there is, and we're all great for that. We've seen a massive increase in demand for local produce and local meats and so forth, and that is very, very good. But the reality is that it costs more to produce those things in Cayman than it does anywhere else. So usually, contrary to what most people might think, local produce and local meats generally cost more than the imported stuff.
And
now,
what do you speak to quality in that regard?
Well, I think we compete incredibly well when it comes to freshness and quality, because a lot of the stuff, the produce and so forth, is they've had to pick it, well in advance of you actually getting to eat it, because they got to pick it, they got to wash it, they got to pack it, and then they got to ship it. then they got to receive it here, and they got to put it on the shelf. So that is why I think people are increasingly prepared to pay premium prices for local, for local, because of the freshness and the quality. I mean, the quality of the produce that we produce in Cayman is very, very high. I was astounded. I went to the Denby Agricultural Show in Jamaica 2 years running, then 2 years prior to the lockdown. And when I saw the quality of their livestock, goats, sheep, pigs, cattle, I was absolutely blown away at the condition and quality of those animals. But as the Denver show is, I mean, it's a big place. You walk for most of the day, right? But when I walked down to look at the produce, I was elated when I looked at it, because I was expecting that what I saw there would be something that comparable to my reaction to the livestock, that it would show up what we do in Cayman. But I can tell you the quality of stuff that we produce in Cayman is on par or better than anything I saw at the Denby show in Jamaica. So we're producing really, really good stuff. I mean, mangoes and avocados, second to none anywhere, I believe. What we do in Cayman.
Oh, by the way, the 2 avocado trees that I got from you, they're bearing this year, both of
there
them.
You go. there you go. But the cost of labor is so high in Cayman, and the battles that farmers have to deal with pests, most of which are imported, brought in, I believe, at this what I blame, over the course of the last 40, 50 years, as we increasingly bring more and more stuff here for landscaping. We bring in these exotic pests, which were not around when I was a boy, helping Dad in the ground. I mean, we never sprayed. We didn't have to spray for pests.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's a factor that we have to deal with now. So running a farm is a pretty expensive business, but I believe that food security is increasingly going to become an important factor all around the world. So I encourage farmers. I think we all got to get smarter about it and more thoughtful about how we do it. But it is, I think, critically important. Cayman doesn't have as much arable. Well, unfortunately, most of the arable land that we have has been built on Georgetown, Savannah, Newlands, and West Bay. But what we do have remaining, does produce very, very good product and produce. And I encourage as many people as can to do it, but just don't hope to get rich out of it.
Okay, good point for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Can you tell me, what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates.
Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Orrit Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name and age to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Orrit Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by life insurance agents Michael Webster and Randy Lawson from Cayman Insurance Center. Don't take chances with your family's future. Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the Record with Orrit Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the Record with Orrit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We still have a half an hour left with the Honourable Roy McTaggart, Leader of the Opposition and former Premier, now also Member of Parliament, Sir Alden McLaughlin. One of our listeners has sent in and said, good morning. Sir Alden is bang on correct. The cost of producing produce for market or product for market is nearly 100% more than most imports. However, the quality assurance is in the higher 90 percentile, as well. So they agree.
Yeah, I know. I live this every week.
Okay, I think I have another one here. This one is pretty long, so I'm going to throw the mic back over to you. But question. So we talk about what is coming down the pipeline based on high interest rates and everything else. Your encouragement to the government, and the government seems to be following that path as well, is to some of the programs that you have to assist people continue to do that. You've also spoken about the robust financial position that we still find ourselves in despite what is happening in worldwide, as well as in the Cayman Islands. When do we reach the point where we can no longer extend those social programs if the government's coffers start to be affected and start to be so what the government is taking in, is not sufficient? And or put it this way, how do we ensure that we continue, that government continues to receive the funds that are necessary for them to continue the social programs?
Yeah, well, I do think that, I think we have to remember too right now, OC, that with inflation and stuff, with the price of stuff that we're importing, government itself is taking in more revenues on those items as well. It's going to be substantially more. That would be one of the factors that is impacting government's coffers at this time. So anything that we have proposed is somewhat mitigated. I don't know if there's a complete offset. I just don't have the figures. But it's going to be mitigated by things like this, where because of the pricing and cost of stuff that we import, and remember, 80% of it, 90% of it is all coming from the U.S., is going to be partially offset, if not totally offset by the increased revenues that government get. But it requires a very stringent monitoring by the finance ministry in terms of the inflows and the outflows of monies coming into government's coffers. And at the end of March, I think it was, with the first quarter report, they were reporting in excess of $500 million in government's treasury. And about 170, 180 of that those are funds that are blocked. They're not able to use them. So they do have about well over $300 million in free cash that is available to be used. as well as access to the line of credit. So they've got a huge amount of funding. It's not an issue that I see creeping in anytime soon in terms of government's finances. And I think they just need to keep monitoring things in terms of the rate of spend, and they can prolong it, I think, as much as they want, really. But it may require as well some adjustment to spending in other areas within the government. And what it might mean, and what they could do if they're serious about doing it and really giving the relief, is they may have to defer some of the programs that they want, or some of the spend that they want to accomplish. You may have to make some of those decisions. But I know in the environment that they operate in, that would prove extremely difficult to do, because every one of them wants they want to deliver. So those are some of the things challenges. But I just, from my standpoint, don't see any real need for that at this point in time.
Okay, one of our listeners had a few questions. What is your solution to forming a new revenue source, to creating a new revenue source to government? Any suggestions in that? Maybe I'll read them all off, and then the next one, they wanted to know whether or not you're against income or payroll tax, and if this was in place, there would be a more level playing field, as the rich pays the same prices as the poor mother at Foster's. They also say that we have $4 trillion in real estate property. Why not charge 164% on the value and take off the import duties? Says the honorable opposition leader has no basis to believe this would take years to implement. And then they sent me some stuff, but of course, so one of the questions is, a new revenue stream, a new revenue source, and income and payroll taxes, as opposed to retaining the import duties, because everyone has to pay that.
But people, well, of course, we've heard this many times, but it's really not as simple and straightforward as that. I mean, Cayman would be making a radical change in our system of taxation, and I think if you move to any form of direct taxation, especially income and payroll tax, that's what you're doing. Property tax, that's what you're doing. So you need to do very careful analysis before you fundamentally seek to alter what has been, many people, including myself, believe has been part of the basis of the overall success of these islands. No form of direct taxation.
And I would be right. I don't agree with what the writer says there. That it will take quite a bit of time in order to accomplish something like that, such a fundamental change in the whole taxation structure of this country. Anytime you go to a direct form of taxation, where you're taxing income, property, or payroll, I mean, you're going to have a whole new department, people to collect the revenues and to audit and to investigate, make sure they are collecting the right amount of of income that is to be reported. So it would be a fundamental change, as my colleague.
The other part that I didn't read on was they what they use as an example is the fact that look what was done with Customs and Border Control in terms of the amalgamation that that took place there. But,
that wasn't entirely painless. I can tell you that. As the minister responsible, that was not painless.
But even that took a couple of years to accomplish.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't painless. It wasn't quick and painless.
Yeah.
Okay. Got some more, and some of them are pretty long, so I'll read through them, and then. Okay. What else do I want to talk about?
Well, I think what we would like to talk about is the motion. Although the leader did mention that in his introduction this morning before I arrived, but the impact that we believe that some significant increases in or raising the ceiling with respect to stamp duty on sales of or purchases of land by Caymanians will make, because that is one of the other great issues that we are grappling with. And I come at these things from a different perspective than a lot of the people that I hear speaking about them, because if you're a Caymanian and you own property, or you own a home, or you own a building, you are happy to see the value of that property increasing, because that is where you are going to be able, you hope, one day to cash in. So measures which have the result of driving values down, I don't think is the right way to go. I think what we need to do as a country, as a government, are finding ways to make access to owning property and homes by Caymanians easier, and to make it easier for Caymanians to compete for the limited amount of land and places that they are. So if the Caymanian can pay less, significantly less, to own the property than the expat, then they have a greater chance, which is what is the way that we have structured our proposal. In fact, I should say that we introduced, in the 8 years that we were there, we introduced a number of measures to give first-time Caymanian homeowners significant breaks on stamp duty. And what we propose now, we had in waiting, but because of the events around the situation with the speaker, which resulted in an early election, we never got back to the House before the House was dissolved to be able to put them forward. But we are delighted that the government, in fact, they think we haven't been ambitious enough, which is fine, that we need to be more generous. But one of the significant proposals there, which hasn't been around before, is our proposal to reduce stamp duty paid by Caymanians, any Caymanian, not just first-time homeowners or first-time property owners, from 7.5% to 5%. So the expat or the investor will pay 7.5% stamp duty. Caymanians only have to pay 5%. And to raise the ceiling for complete exemption from stamp duty for first-time Cayman homeowners or property owners from 500 to 600.
4 to 500,000.
Or 4 to 500.
And I think the government said that they were looking to take their idea was to take it to 600.
We wouldn't complain about that.
I wouldn't.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we return, one of our listeners has some observations, and I will share them with you. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Cistern water designated for the purposes of drinking, cooking, and bathing must be disinfected before use after a hurricane. Simply leave the water for 1 minute after it begins to boil, or to disinfect with bleach, add 3 ounces of chlorine bleach to every 1,000 gallons of water. A residual bleach smell is an indicator that the water has been properly disinfected. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning, and I must say that our listeners are really engaged in the dialogue as well. This person has written and said, good morning to you, Mr. Connor, and opposition guests. It seems that governments are notorious for wasting time during times of economic boom to do national long-term planning, and it is only when a recession is near that they start talking about solutions such as cost of living, training and development of Caymanians, long-term development, visioning and carrying capacity, financial prudence and revenue enhancement, environmental protection, family and society empowerment, etc. Can the opposition indicate whether they would do anything different about a vision for these islands if they were in power?
Well, I think that, well, I must say think, we had and still have a vision for how we think this country can continue to be developed. Mm-hmm. Unlike most other governments, we have always had for every election campaign a carefully thought out manifesto, which we have used as essentially the guide for the way that we think the country should develop. No government, no matter how good it is ever able to deliver on everything. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And things go in cycles. When we took office in 2013, Cayman had still not recovered from the 2008 recession. We still had significant unemployment. The development and construction industry was at a standstill. We had to deal with delegations of people from the heavy equipment operators to the quarry people to construction people who just were having little or no business. So our agenda then, and it took us the whole term to get it moving, was to do things, say things, to get the economy moving again. Mm-hmm. We've been criticized for giving a number of incentives or concessions, you want to call them, to developers. Because people look at it now, 8 years removed from the event, mm-hmm. or the events then, and they've forgotten what the state of the economy was when we did these things. So it is always fluid. It is true that our first term, we pushed and shoved to get the economy moving again. Now, all I'm hearing less and less about that now from the current government. By the end of our second term, what we were being criticized about, but there's too much development. It's all going too fast. We're selling out Cayman, although the government not selling anything. It's people who sell who sell their property. And now where Cayman is heading and where the world is heading, for those of us who pay attention to these things, is another massive recession, which is going to be the result of, in part, of the measures that are being taken to curb inflation. It is going to be a fairly disastrous time, I believe, over the course of the next couple of years. The environment has become a much more important political issue in recent times, not just in Cayman, but across the world, as more and more, even the naysayers have come to grips with the reality that climate change is real. For places like the Cayman Islands, we don't contribute to climate change. Our great concern must be, or ought to be, how do we mitigate the consequences of the inevitable climate change on these small islands? And there still is a lot of opposition to the removal of any green space now, and mangroves. I've said to people over and over, particularly in my constituency, where most of the homes in my constituency are built on land that was once mangroves. It's either reclaimed land or filled land. So if we took the approach that we should never touch the mangroves, Cayman would have had about 25% of its land mass, Grand Cayman, capable of any kind of development. So my point is these extreme views, I don't think are very helpful. As you talked about, OC, when you were talking about the immigration issues, making sure that there is enough labor to keep businesses running,
a balance, yes,
while ensuring that businesses are giving Caymanians the opportunities that they ought to have in their own country. It's the same thing with the environment, right? And arguably we haven't done a good enough job on that. Certainly many of the decisions which were taken, some of them as long ago as 30 years, maybe even 40 years, about developments along the 7 Mile Beach, on the beach side of it. Looking at it now from 30, 40 years later, they were bad decisions, and they are contributing significantly to beach erosion and other things. So I'm not here, and at this point in my life and my political career, trying to defend any particular decision. It is human beings that you elect and human beings that make decisions, right? And it's human beings you put on the planning authority and wherever it is there. And I think mostly we have gotten things right in Cayman. Hence the incredible success compared to just about anywhere in the world, let alone the region. That does mean that we can continue to do things the way we used to do them, and that we shouldn't, as is being urged, pause, think carefully about the implications of further development, where we do the development, the kind of development we do. But for those who think that we can just somehow magically turn off the tap and just preserve the Cayman that we want, I say you're dreaming in color. Cayman continues and will continue to need inward investment and development. If you see development come to a screeching halt, we're going to go back. It could be worse than it was in the 2008, 2009, 10, 15, up to about 2015, before things really started to level off again. We're going to have massive unemployment. We're going to have significant loss of homes by people, because the combination of increased interest rates and inflation, and what inflation does to their income is going to create a massive crisis. We all better pray and hope that there is enough momentum in the development that it can see us through the difficult times that I expect over the next couple of years. We better pray and hope. Get down on our knees. I have lived this as a member of government. I've served in 3 cabinets, and I know the pressure and the strain that comes when your people are losing their homes. They can't get jobs. I don't wish that on this country again, and I certainly don't wish it on this government.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that, Sir Alden. Mr. Leader, we're going to let you have the last word. We have about 3 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay, well, really, it's just time to wrap up.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Really, just to wrap things up and to OC, just to say thank you too for hosting us this morning. I mean, it's been excellent conversation. As you said, I've not seen it in the year and a half I've been coming here as leader. That amount of interaction with the public, and so it tells me that they're interested. Yes, and I want to thank them all really. Yeah. For their interest and for chiming in this morning, and we hope we've answered their questions to their satisfaction. Before I leave, though,
and you need to put the whip on Sir Alden McLaughlin.
Absolutely,
to make sure that he comes in.
It took me a year to get him here.
Well, the thing is, I keep telling them the country needed to understand. And Mr. Leader needed to understand there has been a transition in leadership, and that he's the leader, and I am just an ordinary member of the opposition.
I want to thank him for coming, though.
Yes,
really, it's been good to have him this morning. I had to go drag him out of his farm in order to get him to do that. But I want to conclude really by just offering condolences to my colleague, the member for Georgetown South, Barbara Connolly. Yes. Her ex-husband, Pappy Connolly, passed away on the weekend, or was it Monday? I can't remember.
Monday.
It was on Monday. And I know that her children in particular, Alex and Erica, are grieving very, and she is as well, and the rest is all the family are grieving his passing at this point in time. We've lost again another icon.
Yes,
I mean, Pappy was just so well known to all of us here in Cayman. So I extend my condolences to her and to her family and everyone else who mourned Pappy's passing this week.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Sir Alden, before you go?
No, it's I'm a bit rusty, but it's good to be back here, and I don't see you very much anymore on the bike, so. It's good to make your acquaintance here.
Yeah, everyone believes that I'm in contact with you all the time. Yeah, what is your friend saying about this? Ask your friend about this. You and him ride all the time, as well. But we'll get back on the bike as well.
But I thought you all were getting back on the bike.
Well, I'm on there, but
he bought a new bike about a year or 18 months ago.
I mentioned the other day the significant investment that he made in that bicycle. Folks, well, first of all, I want to thank both of you for being here, and I want to thank all of those listeners who interacted with us as well. I also want to remind you that we are brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dweeney-Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. Ms. Susan, don't forget the next DJ coming along, the request made by one of our listeners earlier. They want to hear the song Lean on Me as well. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition. Let Cora keep my ground.
so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's wisdom news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman